Heyo, and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight. It's amazing to me how many people were fooled and how many people were duped into thinking that last night's episode of Monday Night Raw was a good episode, and that has trickled over into tonight. I see people all over the place telling me, oh, well, there were Fox Network executives in the audience, and they needed to put their best foot forward. And I see respected people in the industry telling me, and all of us, rather, on social media that, last night was a good episode. They really did a good job at showing that they've got the future in their sights and everything's going to be just fine. And I'm telling you that if I'm a Fox Network executive and I was at either last night's Monday Night Raw or tonight's episode of SmackDown Live, I am personally marching my ass right to Vince McMahon after the show and telling him he seriously needs to rethink his approach to the way he does his programming for us to have a successful partnership in the days coming ahead with Fox Sports Network. Tonight's episode of SmackDown Live was a hot mess as we prepare for Shitting Grounds, Sucking Grounds, which is coming up to us this Sunday night. One of the most underwhelming cards I have ever seen, following in the tradition of the Super Suckdown. This is one of the worst pay-per-views they have ever booked. A bunch of rematches and a bunch of stuff we don't want to see, just like we've seen a bunch of stuff we didn't want to see tonight on SmackDown Live, and we are here to talk about it right here and right now. My name is Nick Nightmare, and you are watching the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show's SmackDown Live Stomping Grounds Go Home Show review. Let's do it.
Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
It seems to me that when the WWE remembers they have a specific match type that they haven't used in a while, as soon as they see it executed and they feel like it was successful, it becomes the only thing they want to do. Case in point, the two shows this week. Carbon copies of one another, just shuffled around just a little bit. Because in 2 consecutive nights, we have 2 out of 3 falls matchups and elimination matchups. One right after the other, Monday and Tuesday, the same exact show. For the most part, featuring a lot of the same exact characters. Because the wild card continues to poison the waters of the WWE. Nobody knows who goes where and who belongs to what show. Nobody cares anymore. And the WWE just consistently wants to shove down some of the worst storytelling and worst storylines they have ever come up with, mainly and focused centrally around Shane McMahon for the most part. But we're going to get into all of that in just a minute. We're going to start right at the top of this show because the show started off tonight. Actually, I didn't think it was going in that bad of a direction, also following suit from last night's Monday Night Raw, but it didn't take the WWE long to screw things up. The New Day came out to celebrate, as they like to do, just being alive and just being part of the New Day, and Big E wanted to elaborate on some of the changes he would make to the second hour of SmackDown Live, and he was going to call it the Freaky Hour. And just as this revelation was made, Dolph Ziggler wanted to come out and cry for us. It should have been me. I'm telling everybody. Steel cage, wah. Good old Dolph Ziggler, boring the shit out of me, saying the same old rhetoric week after week, only this time putting in a couple of cliche steel cage lines. Oh, I'm going to crush your dreams as I bash your head into the steel cage, and it should have been me. Bleh. Same old shit, Dolph Ziggler. And this would lead into his one-on-one matchup with Xavier Woods. Xavier Woods had the New Day at ringside, and the match would begin. And again, just like last night, the opening matchup didn't take too long to get into. It was boring. Every time Dolph Ziggler opens his mouth, it bores the shit out of me considering everything he's about to say. But the match got underway pretty quickly, and it was a very entertaining matchup. And then they ruined it with a run-in by apparently property of Monday Night Raw, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. They have come to SmackDown Live to interject themselves into the New Day's business once again for some unknown reason that I really could care less. If this is still going back to Kevin Owens and Kofi Kingston and their whole thing over the championship just a few months prior, it doesn't make sense. He's moved on to Dolph Ziggler. What are these two numbskulls doing getting involved in this segment? All it did was make it a big muddled mess, and again, following suit from last night. They did the same exact thing in the opening segment. They were having a good match, but then they had to ruin it with a bunch of bullshit and a bunch of run-ins that really didn't need to happen. And it took away from the flow of this matchup, and it didn't take away from Dolph Ziggler or Xavier Woods for that matter. It didn't help Dolph Ziggler win. It didn't cost Xavier the matchup by Owens and Sami Zayn interfering. So what was the point of it? Oh, well, we have to equalize. We have to make it make sense for Dolph Ziggler to win when there's three men out there. No, you don't, idiot. Here's the way you're supposed to go about it. Oh, you're so smart, Mr. Nick Nightmare. What would you do about it? Well, Mr. McMahon, you fucking idiot. What you had here was a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow that you didn't want to take a ride down, and I'm going to show you exactly what you should have did. In order to make Dolph Ziggler come off like a badass, in order to make Dolph Ziggler emphasize his point and try to prove himself right, what he should have done, instead of crying about it should have been me again, he should have said, listen, you guys are all bullshit without your brothers. So tonight I want Xavier Woods and I want the New Day banned from ringside. You have them go in a one-on-one matchup. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens do not get involved. And you have Dolph Ziggler go over clean on Xavier Woods just a few days out from his championship matchup with Kofi Kingston, proving him to be a viable contender, proving him to have skill and agility in the ring the way he wants us to believe, and giving us a reason to maybe possibly think Dolph Ziggler could maybe beat Kofi Kingston coming up this Sunday. It would be more dramatic, it would be more impactful. And then after the fact, maybe you have Dolph Ziggler go overboard and beat down Xavier Woods after he's already secured the win. And then you could have the New Day come out and bail out their buddy. And now you have built drama into the matchup and people will get more invested. But instead, you just did the same old shit. And you made it look to a point that Dolph Ziggler can't beat anybody unless he's got running buddies coming out. No wonder he's walking around crying. If they were booking me like that, I'd be crying too. I wouldn't even know what I'd be saying. I'd be losing my mind. Maybe it's not Dolph's fault. Maybe they've driven him fucking mad and he doesn't even know what he's saying anymore. As soon as Dolph Ziggler came out, I was infinitely disappointed because I would have much rather have found out what the hell this freaky hour was all about. Big E Langston is a complete and total freak. This is a guy that has a giant boner for Becky Lynch's mom and does some crazy shit, putting the pancakes down his pants. How much freakier can you get with Big E to have a whole hour devoted to freakiness? Now that just sounds like a show that needs to be on the WWE Network. It does not need to be the second hour of SmackDown Live. It's already a clown show as much as it can be. But goddamn, I would have definitely loved to have heard more about what the freaky hour would have been about instead of listening to "It should have been me, boo fucking who. Boo who cares, Mr. Dolph Ziggler." So that's how this show opened up. Dolph Ziggler gets the win over Xavier Woods, and the way I told you guys it should have went down is the way it should have went down. But unfortunately, it went down the way that Vince makes things go down. Multiple times during this episode, we were subjected to having to go through an extra long replay of what happened last night on Monday Night Raw. And being that the subject matter, for the most part, pertains to Roman Reigns, who was absent again from his show, SmackDown Live, once again, and his whole bullshit with Shane McMahon, it really just did nothing but bring the quality down tremendously. Because reminding me of how much of a bad time I had last night is not a way to win me over for tonight's show. So all the recaps and the highlights of everything that went on for Monday Night Raw was easily something I could do without. But here's a question I want to pose to you guys. Why the fucking God's name does Baron Corbin have an office in the back? What other wrestler on the roster is sitting there with an office? He's not the GM. He's not the commissioner. He's not the constable. Is he the office boy now? Is he the Xerox kid? Is that why he's still walking around dressed up like he's a temp? Is he got some sort of bathroom duties? Maybe he's the head janitor. Or is it just his traveling mobile bellhop office? What the hell office does this jackass need? He's a wrestler on the roster. He has no other function. Why is he setting himself up an office? And on an even bigger note, why are there people outside of it waiting to go talk to this idiot? To be considered to be the referee, I'm assuming. I thought he said last night he already had his referee and we were going to find out at Sucking Grounds who it was going to be. I thought this was all settled when he held the title over Rollins' head last night. That made me want to vomit. I thought he already had this all fleshed out. Anybody thinks and almost knows that the referee is most likely going to be Brock Lesnar, and if it's anybody but Brock Lesnar, do you give a shit? Of course you don't. He's the only one that brings any sort of drama with him to this matchup. So why are we seeing guys like Matt Hardy out there? Why are we seeing the Authors of Pain going to see Baron Corbin in his office? Who is Baron Corbin to be talking to the Authors of Pain? Why is Shelton Benjamin standing out there waiting to talk to him? Why do the B team want to be considered for the referees thing? Knowing what we know from last night, that each and every one of them is going to suffer at the hands of the psycho spine slayer, the Universal Champion Seth Rollins. But here comes some more things that are wrong with this show, because here comes the inconsistencies with Seth Rollins. I just listed to you 5 or 6, if you want to include the tag teams as more than just one unit, superstars who were all talking to Baron Corbin. And only 2 of those superstars got assaulted tonight by Seth Rollins with a steel chair. Last night, Eric Young, much to my disappointment, fessed up to his friend, told him, listen, I'm not going to do it. You don't have to worry. I'm walking away from this whole thing. And he got his ass beat. Why didn't Matt Hardy get his ass beat? Why didn't the Authors of Pain suffer some sort of an attack at the hands of Seth Rollins? Why didn't Shelton Benjamin get his ass kicked? Why just the B team? Because they're the lowest on the totem pole? Because they're the ones nobody really gives a shit about? Or because you're really not thinking about what you're doing? Instead of booking Seth Rollins in tonight's main event on SmackDown Live, a meaningless tag team matchup that was just sprung up on us at last minute, to have the 2 champions side by side once again. It's happened so many times that it's not even special anymore. Instead of that, you should have just had him all night long, taking out anyone and everyone who came within an earshot of Baron fucking Corbin. That would keep it the tone that you were trying to set last night. But now, apparently, he only gave a shit about the B team one. He doesn't care about Matt Hardy. He doesn't care about Shelty B. I did enjoy Matt Hardy calling Shelton Benjamin Senor Benjamin. Little callback to the Broken days, and I did chuckle slightly. But I don't understand why they didn't have this guy just going apeshit on all these people. And thankfully, we didn't have to see Baron Corbin, but why does he have an office at SmackDown Live? If you could explain that one to me, then maybe we could even begin to try to make the rest of this make sense. You got 6 idiots all standing in a row, knowing full well what happened last night to everybody that wanted to do what they're looking to do right now, and they're willingly ready to have their backs just obliterated by Seth Rollins. How does that make any fucking sense to anyone, anywhere in the world? A moment of bliss. Alexa Bliss with her new running buddy Nikki Cross welcomed SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley, her opponent, at the upcoming Sucking Grounds pay-per-view. I'm going to be honest with you guys. This whole feud, this whole thing between these two is over nonsense. It's over tweets and Alexa Bliss trying to play the mean girls role and manipulating Nikki Cross to have her back over Bayley. Bayley's really not doing anything wrong because she's too much of a goody-goody to do anything wrong in the first place. And it's all very sappy, it's all very teenage drama, and it's all kind of stupid. However, I did enjoy the mic work that came out of these girls tonight. Alexa Bliss hitting a lot of the points that we would expect her to hit, but Bayley probably hitting hardest and using the tool that the WWE has been using so well over the last couple of weeks. They have been trolling themselves all over the internet, picking up all of the finest little tidbits and seeing what the pulse of the community is and seeing what most people are saying, and they're adding it into their scripts. They did it a few times last night. They did it tonight with Bayley, as she was calling Alexa a self-entitled princess that doesn't earn anything, that pretty much does favors to get her way to the top and manipulates her way to keep her position the way it is, which is what most of us here in the community have accused her of for years, especially since her wrestling quality has declined. A lot of little bit of just below the belt type of statements, and it made it for a little bit more, gave it a little bit more intensity than the standard bullshit that these girls usually throw at each other. And for the first time since its inception, a moment of bliss as a segment felt like a wrestling segment and not like a fucking clown show. So I was actually alright with it. Bliss says that she's not entitled, that she's just better than Bayley. This whole thing got to another pitch when Alexa Bliss would say that Bayley cannot be who she is because she peaked in NXT. And then the brawl happened until Nikki Cross pulled them apart. Cross then started to yell at Bayley, which then gave Alexa Bliss just enough time to get a sneak attack from behind, and this whole segment would end on that. We would go to the back and we would see Zelina Vega looking in the mirror, being all sexy for no reason, being approached by Apollo Crews, who is on the hunt for Andrade Cien Almas. Or Andrade, if you just want to call him that. I prefer to call him by his full name. He's there. He wants to face Andrade. Vega wondered if he was just there to flirt with her, which I wouldn't blame him if that's what he was doing. But then Andrade jumped Apollo Crews. He came out of the darkness like one of Bray Wyatt's creatures and just beat the hell out of him. And this is probably something that we're going to explore in the coming weeks, I would imagine. And I'm all right with seeing Apollo Crews versus Andrade. It's something a little bit different, and maybe they can actually get Apollo Crews over off the power and the talent of battling a guy the caliber of an Andrade. And with Zelina Vega outside adding a little bit of steam to the situation, a little bit of fuel to the fire, and that little bit of sex appeal to this trio that they can get going on, it could get pretty interesting. So I am okay with that. What I'm not okay is with creepy Chad Gable just watching over everything like Sherlock Holmes, another guy just hanging out in the dark, and he's taking notes. What are you taking notes on? How to suck from Apollo Crews? What are you trying to take notes about how to get your girlfriend to dress? Are you looking at Zelina Vega going, yeah, I like the black lace and I like the little diamond things. I like the see-through things. I like all them things. Let me take some notes. Well, what are you taking notes for the lighting or the camera? Are you preparing for a new job interview since you don't want to fucking wrestle anymore? You're going to do something backstage and you're preparing by taking all your notes? Putting a little period between each letter of your name. What does it mean? God awful boy leaving eventually. There you go. We made an acronym out of it. God awful boy leaving eventually. Gable. Put it out there on social media. Get us trending. Heavy Machinery came out. They defeated the B team with the greatest of ease. And the best part about this whole thing was Daniel Bryan on commentary. He was absolutely amazing. He ran down his challengers at every moment, but still found a few little times during the matchup where he could put them over as a viable threat, most notably at the end when they hit that compactor and he was like, see, this is what I'm talking about. This is something we have to worry about. So he's not really throwing them so much under the bus. He's having a lot of fun with it, and he was very, very entertaining. They wanted to make fun of the fact that these guys walked out like the Bushwhackers, which is something that we've talked about on this show many times since they've showed up on the main roster. And then Daniel Bryan, being the genius that he is telling everybody, oh, you worried about the Bushwhackers, you should be more interested in seeing and looking into the sheep herders. And I'm going to school you guys right now because I'm an old guy and I know a lot of stuff. And for those of you who don't know, the sheep herders are the Bushwhackers. The sheep herders is what they were known as when they were in the National Wrestling Alliance and down in New Zealand wrestling before they were called up to the WWF back in the day and became the Bushwhackers when they were a much more hard-nosed, much more hardcore, and very tough team to beat. Which is not what the Bushwhackers were. The Bushwhackers were comedy jobbers that made all the kids laugh, myself included. I loved myself some Bushwhackers. I like swinging my arms around because, I was like 8 years old. So give me a break. I'm not 8 years old anymore, and I don't find it amusing watching Heavy Machinery do this, but I don't mind the homage to a historic tag team and Daniel Bryan making the note that they are not probably the best tag team to model yourself after, being that they've never won a tag team championship in their life. The B team, like I said, easily disposed by Otis and Tucker. After the match, the Universal Champion Seth Rollins attacked the B team with the steel chair, beating them viciously like he owed them money, man. Just where's my money, you bitches? And just hammered the shit out of them with that steel chair. But nobody else, everybody else got off scot-free, which makes absolutely no sense, and he owes Eric Young an apology. This is where things take a whole nother turn to the downward spiral as Shane McMahon finally shows up. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens are in the back. They're approaching him. They're telling him what happened with the B team. There's a problem with Rollins and Kofi Kingston. They're bad people. They keep calling them bad people. Shane McMahon then announces that Owens and Sami Zayn are going to fight Rollins and Kingston in a 2 out of 3 falls match because... Geez, we didn't just see one of those fucking yesterday. And oh wait, didn't it feature Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn? Why, yes it did. And it also featured Kofi Kingston. Whoa! Where did we come up with this idea? 24 hours haven't even fully passed and you're giving us the same match with the same competitors, only -1 in each corner? Talk about lazy. That's just lazy for the sake of lazy. That's like, oh, this guy that was in charge of this fucking segment didn't show to work today. Let's just do what we did yesterday. But we can't do it exactly, so take out the third man. We'll just make it a regular tag team. Teddy Long will be proud. We got a bunch of tag team action going on tonight. Shane McMahon, Elias, and Drew McIntyre made their way to the ring, and I made my way to the toilet. Because I felt that familiar rumbling in my stomach, and then I shit my brains out because I'm so tired of hearing this crap that I would much rather do something like that. I would rather experience explosive diarrhea for a continuum of 10 minutes than have to deal with another minute of Stain McSweatballs, Elias, and Drew Mackin Nobody. What fucking feud is this? Is this Roman's feud with Shane? Is this the Miz's feud with Shane? Wasn't Shane and the Miz done? Why are we coming back to the Miz and Shane again tonight? Why is Roman Reigns not here on his show tonight? The Miz is standing there needing a tag team partner. Who else is feuding with Shane McMahon that just might be the perfect person in this scenario to fill in this gap? It's R-Truth. What? R-Truth emerges from out of nowhere. The Benny Hill 24/7 Avocado Championship nonsense is about to ensue. But The Miz calls to R-Truth and says, we're going to reunite the Awesome Truth for one night. I have my partner. It happened within the 10-second time limit that Shane McMahon threw down. And now we're going to have this tag team matchup. And I'm thinking, what the hell? Why? And then they made it a point to tell everybody the 24/7 championship title rules are not in effect for this whole thing. They do not apply while R-Truth is in this match with The Miz. So then what the fuck happened? If that was something clearly stated and the rules were understood by everybody involved, Why were they coming out to try to take his championship? First of all, no, you cannot just take the 24/7 championship. That was how it was won initially. But now you have to beat R-Truth. You're not allowed to do anything to R-Truth related to the 24/7 title during the entirety of this matchup. So why did all these clowns coming down to ringside trying to take the championship? Which made R-Truth end up leaving the match, which turned this into the 2-on-1 handicap match that The Miz was afraid this was going to be in the first place. Because this had to be an elimination match, because we didn't see one of them 24 hours ago either. Why? Did they not see that they just contradicted themselves? Well, the 24/7 rules don't apply. And then you had the shenanigans take place. And R-Truth left his match because people were trying to take his title. When that should not have been an issue, right? Because the rules were suspended. Or is my brain really fizzing out? Am I the only one that's seeing this shit? Like, I don't understand. Everybody else is just fucking cheering. Oh, look, there's a bunch of people. Let's fucking cheer. Woo, there's R-Truth. He's so funny. Let's cheer. Woo! And nobody's understanding that none of this is supposed to be happening. Not that it's ruining any great match or anything, but you made the fucking rule. Follow your own rules. If you can't follow your rule, how am I supposed to follow your rules? How am I supposed to follow anything? Because nothing means anything. Apparently there are no rules anymore, and we just do whatever the fuck we want, whenever the hell we want, just for the hell of it. Awful. The Miz is a Raw superstar, is he not? But he's on SmackDown Live, fighting Roman Reigns' battle against Drew McIntyre. Roman Reigns is now on SmackDown Live, but he's nowhere to fucking be found. And he don't give two shits about The Miz standing up for him. He's just gonna let The Miz take shit and eat it. He's gonna Superman punch his way somewhere else. Maybe he's knocking open a fucking pineapple somewhere. Maybe he's hitting a spear on a coconut tree so we can have something to drink tonight. Where the hell is Roman Reigns? Why doesn't he have to show up on SmackDown Live? Why did they move him from Raw in the first place if Vince don't want to see him there? Ever since he's been on SmackDown Live, he's the superstar we have seen the least on SmackDown Live. Continuing to make no sense. We go back to the back after The Miz picked his partner. They go back to the back with these weird timed segments, and then we see the Authors of Pain walking out of Corbin's office, and he runs into the women's tag team champions, the Iconics. And the Iconics then run into the Sky Pirate 2.0 team of Asuka and Kairi Sane. Apparently they're still employed, which is great, and they still got Paige with them, which ain't so great. Paige is back again! And she's going to do Australian accents. That's a little bit too much. I can't pretend to be an English girl who's trying to pretend to be Australian, as she was mocking the Iconics tonight. But apparently the WWE is having a show in Tokyo, and Paige has the power to have this match for her girls to face the Iconics in their hometown of Japan, in Tokyo. Who do you think's going to win? It's gonna be Paige. She's the winner at the end. What is... You want to just fucking tell us that Kairi and Asuka are going to be the number one contenders? Why not just tell us that? Why are you going to go through all this trouble? It should have been something more of a surprise booking. You announced it tonight on SmackDown so that people, I guess, will tune in on the network and watch your little Tokyo surprise show. And now we already know that Asuka and Kairi are going to beat the Iconics in a non-title matchup, and they're going to earn a championship matchup in the future. Fantastic. Great news. The best thing about this was watching Asuka and Kairi mock the Iconics and do the Iconic. That was my favorite part. Other than that, the rest of this whole thing was completely unnecessary. Nothing that they couldn't have just announced on WWE.com. Drew McIntyre and Elias end up defeating The Miz and R-Truth. Even though R-Truth left the match, he left The Miz high and dry. He would suffer the fate of a Claymore kick and would end up just being obliterated after the match by two more Claymore kicks as Drew McIntyre kept screaming for Roman every time he hit The Miz because, you can easily confuse the two. I'm no big Roman Reigns fan, but The Miz is no Roman Reigns. All right? Not physically, not in his looks, not in anything about him. So comparing him to that and beating up a little guy like The Miz and then saying, "This is you, Roman," it's not really true. And nowhere close, bro. All I want is for that feud to come to an end. Whatever it is that they have planned for shitting grounds between these two, just let it be the end and make Shane McMahon go away. And then all of our dreams will be answered. Ember Moon's still around. She's not reading comic books today, though. She ran into Carmella in the back. She's on the hunt for Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. Carmella is looking for truth. But she's also looking for Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville as well. Ember Moon, however, would find Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville in the back eating donuts. Two hot broads eating donuts. Nothing wrong with that, right? They ended up getting into a brawl. Ember Moon's still pissed off about what happened last week and them getting in her face about the magazine, and really, who cares? Let's just get this off to the ring. I appreciate the effort. At least you're making the match mean something. We're seeing some sort of a story develop between Ember Moon and Mandy Rose and or Sonya Deville, and it's better than the girl not having anything to do at all, and hopefully it just ends up in the ring sooner than later, and they're not just given 5 minutes, and they show that they can actually do what they get paid to do, because that's all I want from these girls. Go out there and wrestle. I don't care if you're hot, I don't care if you're unique, I don't care if you're a she-wolf, a war goddess, a hugger, a little Miss Bliss. I don't give a shit who you are, just go out there and wrestle. And do it well, and be safe. And then come back and do it again. Because that's your job. Not to bore me to sleep. And not to have me week after week going, "Hey, where's this girl? Where's this girl been at?" Getting paid to do nothing. Something we all would love to do. But these people in wrestling, you don't love that. Because if you're not wrestling, you're not doing what you love. You might be getting paid, but you're not doing what you love. So drive around in your nice cars and go back to your home, but you'll never truly feel fulfilled inside. And what's worse? I don't know. I'm working on that actually myself right now. Universal Champion Seth Rollins and Kofi Kingston, the WWE Champion, met backstage and they had some words together. Then we seen the Firefly Funhouse repeat from yesterday's episode. Another great edition of this show. It just gets creepier and creepier. The music, the tone, everything the guy had to say. It's just really, really creepy, and it's really making you anticipate the arrival of Bray Wyatt. I hope it's not coming as soon as I'm seeing people say that it's going to come, and I hope that they really give this a lot more time and make his coming special. You can't just bring The Fiend or this version of Bray Wyatt out and have him go and squash the B-team or something. You need to come up with something big. I don't know what it could possibly be at this point because they've ruined everything and you can't think about people like The Undertaker and people from the old generation. But he needs to do something that matters. Maybe eliminate Shane McMahon. Like completely. Off TV. Write him off completely. That would be something big and monumental that would make Bray Wyatt worth fearing again. I don't know. But they need to come up with something interesting. We go outside the ring. 24/7 champion R-Truth tries to leave. A referee pulls up with the car because apparently he's also an Uber driver. Drake Maverick is standing there wearing a Carmella costume and R-Truth can't tell the difference. He starts to realize that, wait a minute, you don't really look like my Carmella, and next thing you know, he's getting his shoulders pinned to the concrete, and Drake Maverick is getting married soon, and he is now the 24/7 champion, and I could care even less about it than I could when it was on R-Truth. And if, in case you were wondering, I cared about it exactly this much. Then we had the 2 out of 3 falls match. Tag team matchup, the champions versus the chumps, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, who for the second night in a row would fall in a 2 out of 3 falls match in 2 consecutive pinfalls. How much more can you outline the fact that the WWE sees no value in Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn? Just feeding them to the same people over and over, now in the same style of matches. 2 out of 3 falls, they can't even get 1 win. They can't get one win in. So essentially, in the last 6 matchups they've had in the last 48 hours, they have gone 4-0 and have been cleanly swept. For what reason? To make Kofi Kingston and Seth Rollins look good? What made them look good about this? Oh, so what? They got to win as a tag team. What does that mean? What does it mean? Damn, Drew McIntyre's opponent, Seth Rollins' opponent, had nothing to do with this. Not that I wanted to see Baron Corbin, but he had nothing to do with it. Seth Rollins is out there to wrestle just because. He's not swinging chairs anymore. He's out there wrestling with Kofi Kingston, beating down Owens and Zayn. For what? For what? For nothing. You got a match with Corbin a few days away, and you're out there in a useless tag team matchup. Risking injury, risking everything. For what? For nothing. It made no sense. I didn't like that they did it this way with this booking, and Seth Rollins gives the curb stomp to Kevin Owens, and this match comes to an end with the second fall. The first fall came within like 3 seconds. Kofi Kingston just out of nowhere hits Sami Zayn with the Trouble in Paradise pretty much as the bell was ringing, and then gets a quick 3 count. And then for the next 8 minutes, we get to see an actual matchup. So the longer the match goes on, you know that that the champs are going to win because there's no time for a third fall. So you're contradicting even the match. You can't have a 2 out of 3 falls matchup with 10 minutes left in the show and have the second fall go almost 8 minutes. It's stupid things like that that make me know without a shadow of a doubt that this company is just losing it. They can't even time their matches right. The flow of the show is just always so terrible. How many times tonight have we seen them come back from commercial and then the bell would ring for the matchup, meaning that the people that were standing in the ring were standing out there throughout the entirety of the commercial break? What are they doing? Standing there, dancing to each other's music? Practicing promos for the live crowd? Watching commercials in the arena like the rest of us at home? What a waste of time. What a terrible way to manage your show. And it's just something we've come accustomed to. And ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Every fucking thing I could find wrong with this ridiculous show, and it's just beginning, because this weekend is going to be Stomping Ground, and I guarantee you already going in that there is going to be nothing good coming out of this pay-per-view, this useless, needless, D-level pay-per-view that should just be erased from the calendar. Instead of renaming Battleground, you should have just took it away and focused all your attention on building towards SummerSlam. But that's not going to happen. It's already not going to happen, because we got this show on Sunday, and I will be here to bring the hammer down on it for you guys Sunday night at the end of it all, right here on Sledgehammer TV. You can trust that. You know that to be a fact. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a rough week in professional wrestling. Stomping Grounds is not shaping up to be anything special, but I'm trying to make it as special as I possibly can. So if you have not already watched our Stomping Grounds preview of Alexa Bliss versus Bayley, generated by WWE 2K19, with commentary featuring yours truly, that is live on the channel right now. And if you enjoy that, you might enjoy all the other ones we did, and you could look at those as well. But be prepared, because tomorrow on this channel, Steel Cage matchup, Dolph Ziggler versus Kofi Kingston, match prediction 2K simulation, coming at you guys tomorrow. So make sure you don't miss it. And the best way to make sure that doesn't happen is to be one of the over 1,600, so close to 17. We got from 16 to almost 17 in like record time. And I want to thank each and every one of my new sledgeheads and the newcomers to this channel, but more importantly, all of you all of you together that have been here with me since day one and now beyond. You guys are fucking awesome, and I thank you so much for your continued support. So if you are not already a member of the coolest, newest, hippest community in all of the internet wrestling community, you need to hit that subscribe button right now. Ring that notification bell so that you do not miss anything we put up, including our 2K19 simulations, our Hammer in Hollywood episodes, which will be coming back at you this summer as we finally get to see some of these big movies that we've been missing out on, and everything in between, as you can count on our weekly coverage of Raw and SmackDown. And every time the WWE wants to throw out a show they want to call a pay-per-view, we are going to be there ready to bring down this hammer. And do not confuse me with the rest of these internet wrestling marks. Everybody likes to throw that word around. You want to call me a mark? I'm a WWE diehard. You want to call me a mark? I'm a mark for the WWE. So, that being said, AEW does not get special treatment. I'm not sitting here like some of you guys, and this is not a dig at anybody, but I'm not sitting here with a heart-on waiting for AEW. There's a lot to wait for, and there's a lot that's riding on that first show, and I am looking forward to it wholeheartedly, but I am not looking and believing they are going to be the savior of professional wrestling. I will believe it when I see it, and until then, I will continue to enjoy the events put forth by the company until we go live on TNT, but I'm not one of these guys that is just, oh, WWE sucks, AEW's for life. That might be the case 6 months from now. But as of right now, don't confuse me with one of those guys. This hammer comes down hard on everybody. It all depends on what you give me. You give me a good show, you get a good review. You give me dog shit, I'm going to make you eat a shit sandwich. And I'm going to do it with this sledgehammer. Thank you guys all so very much for being with me through this journey. Once again, do not forget to like this video, smash that thumbs up with your sledgehammers at home if you enjoyed anything we had to say today, or any of the points I made. If I made you laugh, if I made you cry, if I made you want to leave and scream, whatever the reason is, smash that thumbs up for me. Let the world know how cool we really are, and then share this video with each and every one of your wrestling friends all over the wrestling world, especially if they're being fooled right now by the current state of the WWE programming, since the Fox networks are watching and they want to do the best they can, and their best still ain't good enough. Not for this guy. Definitely not for you. You deserve better. And so do I. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is the theme, Thor the Sledgehammer, the official sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. His tag team partner, the World Heavyweight Champion of all the microphones in all the world, Mr. Blue the Snowball, and the most important member of the team, as always, is each and every one of you sledgehead fuckers. I love all of you, and I look forward to the rest of you new guys coming on board. Let's get to 2,000 as quickly as we possibly can, and that all depends on you. That, my friends, is going to do it, and we are out of here, and we will see you next time right here on your new favorite wrestling show, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer TV, right here on YouTube.com.